Hey, hey, hey. Happy Monday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Yes, welcome back to the Duct Tape Studios. Happy Monday and Happy New Year. Yes, this is the first episode of the Gaming Gang Dispatch of 2021. Or I guess I'll be saying 2021 more likely than not throughout the year. But if this is your first time joining me, welcome aboard. My name is Jeff McAleer. I'm your host here at the Dispatch. I also happen to be the Grand Poobah of the GamingGang.com. So this is very, very casual. Just hang out. We talk about tabletop gaming news the vast majority of the time. Every once in a while, we'll talk a little PC gaming, maybe some pop culture. But for the most part, if it's gaming, if it's taking place on your tabletop, with some exceptions, we are talking about it. Of course, if you are somebody who has followed the Gaming Gang or you watch the videos on the channel here for quite some time, welcome back. Thank you very much for joining me once again. Tonight is Monday, January 4th, 2021. This is live stream number 598. Yes, Wednesday nights, 600. Yes, it's episode 600, and we will talk about that a little bit after the news. Just kind of give you a reminder of what's cooking as far as that show. But I do also want to mention that if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell, because it'll not only let you know when the Dispatch airs live Monday through Thursday nights right here on YouTube. It'll also tell you when I upload other videos, such as today's review of The Magical Land of Yeld. Yes, from, I think it's Adarishi. I think it's, if I remember right, it's Adarishi Games. So this is actually set in the land of the webcomic Modest Medusa. And check out the review, because I think it might pique your interest. Yes, yes. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Of course, do want to mention, too, that this is a live stream, so that also means chat is available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you want to say howdy, or maybe you got a question, a comment, by all means, chime in, and I will do my best to respond. Sometimes the chat zips by pretty quickly. So if there's something you're like, oh, Jeff, I really want to make you aware of something, or if you got a question that really want answered, and a few minutes go by and I haven't, like sat there and answered it, or mentioned what you've typed out there, please retype it, because sometimes it zips by very quickly. So far tonight in chat, we've got John Vogel first out the gate, saying hello in chat. Clint Gibson is here as well. Flaming Heron, one of our two moderators, our chat moderators here at the Gaming Gang channel, is hanging out as well. Excellent. Hope everybody is having a great new year so far. So everybody's basically saying, yeah, hey, Happy New Year. So John Vogel says, is it me or are you locking up? Let's take a look. Well, I see that there were some drop frames. See, as I mentioned before, one of the shows, I think it was I don't think it was last week. I think it was a week before last. There was a new edition of the software, a new update to the software that I use to stream. And for some strange reason, they're not allowing me to shrink it down so that I can have like kind of everything in front of me so I can see it. So because if you watched episode 500, the live stream 500, you got to see kind of a behind the scenes look at the previous iteration of the Duct Tape Studios. Looks a little different now. But one thing that has not changed is I actually use a large screen TV. It's like 44-inch TV, which I guess these days isn't that large, but as my monitor down here. And I use that also as a teleprompter. So if I don't mess around with this new update to the streaming software, I can't see the teleprompter. So I used to be able to just see and I go, oh, I see we're dropping some frames. Oh no, gosh, we're dropping frames, folks. Now I can't. Now I can't tell. I have to actually drag the program up and drag it back down so it doesn't block my teleprompter. But it does look like we had some. So, John, there may have been some hiccups early in the stream. Sometimes that happens. But it looks like since then, everything has been pretty cool. So, Ibram's in chat. A Gray Day has arrived in chat as well. Before I jump into the news, I do want to mention that I've got a couple of contests to announce tonight. A couple of January contests. Well. And I know there are a few people in chat right now who took part in the Gaming Gang game auction. I am kind of curious if people have started receiving their items because I did send them all out. They all went out. What was it, last Tuesday? And most of those were going out by priority mail, like 2-3 day. So if you were part of the auction and you did have some items, let me know in chat if they showed up. So just kind of curious, because I gotta be honest, I didn't dig through all the various different tracking numbers. So Great A says nothing arrived in the West just yet. All right, we'll see what's going on. Kevin R. Smith is joining us in chat. Good to see you. John Bogle says that they received their items. Hopefully you are satisfied with those, John. Hopefully they tickled your funny bone, tickled your fancy, what have you. All right. Anyway, so like I said, I will get into the contest a little bit later. There's something else kind of pop culture-ish that I wanted to chat about too after we have the go through the news. Clint Gibson says their tracking number says it's going to show up tomorrow. So, so Great A says, yeah, Flaming Heron's items will show up in July. Actually, Flaming Heron does not have any items heading his way. So, I got to be honest. I can't blame him because the shipping is just outrageous. It's crazy. All right, let's jump on into the news because arriving in February from Deepwater Games is 7 Summits. I've got a few details. In 7 Summits, you are a team of world-class mountain climbers. Use the dice to your advantage to climb the tallest mountains on each of these 7 continents. Upgrade your equipment and advance your skills. Will you be the first to climb them all? In this dice drafting game, you'll choose a die to climb its associated mountain. You can stop early to play it safe or press on for the summit. But watch out! Each time you press on, you run the risk of an avalanche. Echo, 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 echo. The game is easy to learn for the whole family with the ability to play 2 to 5 players in 30 or 40 minutes, 32, 40 minutes. You push your luck to be the first to the summit. Memorable moments and mechanics are included throughout the game, and you will use strategic skill trees to improve your luck. One thing I also noticed, I think you will see this in the images here. This game uses 4-sided dice. I was like, we don't see too many board games that don't have some sort of like role-playing element to them that use four-sided dice. I thought that was kind of interesting. You can see them right now. Seven Summits is, as previously mentioned, for 2 to 5 players, ages 12 and up, and plays in around 30 to 40 minutes. It is going to carry an MSRP of $29.95. You can go and place your order. You can pre-order this right now at, okay, so it's from Deepwater Games, but you have to go to Oxeye Media and click on the Deepwater Games, because I could have swore Deepwater Games had their own website before. But I do want to mention there are some promo cards that you can still get. There are some promo cards you can still get if you pre-order at the $29.95 MSRP. So I did want to mention that as well. So Flaming Heron says, well, Jeff, you never did say if the shipping was cheaper on one item. No, it's not. It's basically the same. The weight isn't that much different. So I was kind of like, yeah, I assumed it was like, I don't know if I'd want to be paying what I think was $93 shipping for a couple of books. Granted, they are hardcover and thick books, but anyway, moving right along. So Kevin says, yep, looks like just four-siders. Makes sense for the mountain theme. I thought the same exact thing. Just don't drop those on the floor. Don't step on those four-sided dice because they are really painful. I did that one time, and it was not fun. So I've got news about another February release. It is from Medieval Lords. I've got the scoop on 10 Suns. In the beginning, there were only you and the other ancient primordials. Then the dawning of the gods arrived, and more celestial beings came into existence. It was then the Jade Emperor of the heavenly realm produced 10 rebellious children who turned themselves into scorching suns in a bid to end the world. Damn you, suns! Trying to end the world? Huh. This was a good thing, for you drew solar power from the 10 suns, making you invincible. Alas, a mortal hero called Hao Yi appeared and began shooting the suns down one by one with his golden bow. Damn you, Hao Yi! Boy, I'm telling you, I don't know who to root for here. Do I root for the mortal hero? I think I would, because he's trying to save the world. With the demise of each sun, your power fades. You realize your seat of absolute power is at risk. In order to stay at the top, you must quickly form alliances with the gods, build grand palaces in your name, influence lands to worship you, and repel mythical monsters to gain prestige, all before the suns disappear forever. Welcome to 10 Suns. This is a blind bidding game that revolves around the legendary archer from China, Hao Yi, who shot down 9 suns and saved China from scorching heat. Players are primordials who draw their energy from the 10 suns. Before the suns all disappear, players rush to gain enough prestige to secure a permanent position among the gods. The game features famous locations in China like the Great Wall, Xi'an, and many others. It also features other gods and legends of ancient China, including Chang'e and the Jade Rabbit. At the start of every turn, players have a specific amount of energy to bid with toward an ever-changing pool of cards known as the Mortal Plane. This amount is equal to the current number of suns in the sky. However, each time Hao Yi appears, more suns will be shot down, and the players will have less and less energy to bid with. Players can tap on other forms of energy, such as lunar energy from the moon or other gods. So this is basically engine building. 10 Suns is for 2 to 6 players, ages 10 and up, plays in 30 to 45 minutes. It's going to carry an MSRP of $35 when it arrives in February. I got to say, I like the artwork to this. It's pretty cool, looks pretty interesting. Got to say, the theme is very interesting as well. Medieval Lords is not an American or North American game company, I think. And somebody in chat probably a Grey Day, can can tell us. I think they're out of Singapore. I think that's where they're from. I might be wrong, but I am positive that it's an Asian country that Medieval Lords is out of. But like I said, I think it is from Singapore. But this looks kind of cool, and $35 MSRP, that's pretty fair for what we're seeing here as well. All right, moving right along. So there is some discussion about various different shipping. Anyway, so a Grade A was pointing out shipping from Europe to the US isn't much less than Australia. I don't know. I always hear, and I could be wrong, but I know there is somebody who I had watched in the past about like building computers, because I always build my own PCs. I don't know how to build laptops. I don't have the patience for that, but I always build my own desktop computers. And there was this really interesting, well, he was a content creator on YouTube, and I'm sure he's still around. And he was out of Australia, and he would talk about the pricing in Australia, and it just seemed like everything was like 20 to 30% more in Australia than it was in the US. And one of the other things that he had talked about too, was shipping to Australia was astronomical. So I don't know. So Flaming Heron saying, no, the cost of shipping is pretty crazy. Got a small hardcover book, cost me $50 US. Half of that was postage. Yeah. Yeah, I know. And I did double check. You know what, Flaming Heron, I'll double check sometime tonight. I'll take a peek. Maybe we'll work something out, because I know you really wanted that copy of Rune Quest. So I try to see what I can do here. So anyway, I was talking about 10 Sons. I like the artwork. The artwork's very cool. Like I said, this looks like it could be kind of interesting. Although I got to admit, I think it's kind of weird how we're seeing a lot of games that, God forbid, they play in an hour. So I see it all the time now, where it's like, it's 30 to 50 minutes, 45 minutes, 45 to 50 minutes. It's like, oh my gosh, if it's 60 minutes, oh, I can't possibly play that. So Grade A said, yes, Medieval Lords is out of Singapore. Thank you. Like I said, I thought that's where they were from. All right, well, let's talk about a company that I know is here in the U.S. Not that that really matters. I'm just saying. But I'm talking about another February release. So this is our third February release on tonight's show. It is Commands and Colors Samurai Battles from GMT Games. I've got the skinny. I wish I had more artwork or photos to share with you of this, but I do not. GMT is not sharing anything. Grab a quick sip here. And that's nothing against them. But if you look for Samurai Battles, you'll see the old edition, which is actually what most of this news piece is about. Because Samurai Battles from the game company Zvezda premiered almost 7 years ago. And although the game achieved some popularity for the most part, the game flew under the radar of most gamers. Perhaps the blame was with the time required to assemble the 100 plus plastic samurai figures before one could even play the game. And once assembled, these plastic models, although truly fine figures, were very fragile, almost too fragile for game pieces. Finally, when it was time to pack up after a game, it was extremely difficult to store them away safely. Yet, the Samurai Battles game still gained a small following of very loyal fans. I tend to believe many fans who are already familiar with one or more of the other games that use the Commands and Colors system, Battle Cry, Memoir 44, Ancients, Napoleonics, actually brought them to the game. But after a couple of years of dwindling sales and the untimely death of Zvezda CEO Konstantin Kravchenko, who was very supportive of the project, the game was phased out. The Commands and Colors Samurai Battles game rules allow players to portray important engagements of Japanese history. The battles included in the scenario booklet focus on the historical deployment of forces and important scale with the game system. The scale of the game is flexible and varies from battle to battle. For some scenarios, an infantry unit may represent an entire clan of soldiers, while in other scenarios, a unit may represent just a few brave warriors. The command cards drive movement and create a fog of war, and present players with many interesting challenges and opportunities, while the battle dice resolve combat quickly and efficiently. The Honor and Fortune game mechanic will task players to maintain a balance between these two important game elements. The dragon cards add an element of suspense and surprise that can bend the rules and instantly change the course of a battle. The battlefield tactics you will need to execute to gain victory, however, conform remarkably well to the strengths and limitations of the various Japanese unit types, their weapons, battle terrain, and written history. So what makes GMT's Commands and Colors Samurai Battles game great? Or maybe I should say great? In a word, more. GMT's CNC Samurai Battles game has more scenarios, more units to deploy, additional types of Japanese units, a jam-packed battlefield with more units and more terrain, and there are still more expansion materials already waiting in the wings. Command and Colors Samurai Battles is for 2 players, ages 12 and up, plays in 60 minutes or more, depending on the scenario. It's available at the P500 price of $55. The MSRP will be $82. That's pretty good savings right now on the P500 price. This is coming in February. This is at the printers as far as I understand. I might be incorrect on that. It might already be on the slow boat to China. So let's see what we got here. Yes, it looks like, so Flaming Heron says there's some buffering going on their end. Yeah, it looks like we've had a little bit of dropped frames. Nothing too bad, nothing too crazy. Not like sometimes we'll see just all this craziness. Anyway, so once again, sometimes it's also a YouTube thing. I mean, because there have been times that we have had some buffering issues. Viewers have had some buffering issues, and I'm not showing any drop frames or anything else. So sometimes it could be a mixture of both. What I will do later on tonight, though, is I will reboot my router. Sometimes if I don't do that every week or two, sometimes we run into an issue. All right. Anyway, so A Great A is saying that they're not completely sold on this. So I will point out that I did see the original edition of this game when it was being, I got to be honest, I don't think it was out yet. I think it was on the horizon, and Zvezda, or however it's Zvezda, were at Origins. They were at the Origins Game Fair, which I thought was kind of strange. So did Elliot. We were both hanging out, covering the show, and they had a lot of like models in that, because that's what the company really focuses on, are historical models. And then I saw it. I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. So we were trying to see if we could interview somebody, and they didn't have anybody hanging out at the booth. And they actually had a good sized little exhibit area. They didn't have anybody there who spoke English at that time. At the moment we were there, and we were like, I think it's a Polish company. Even though, the CEO's name and everything sounds kind of Russian. Even the name of the company sounds a little Russian. but I do honestly think they are out of Poland. So, but I can see where people would be up in the air because Command and Colors Medieval just didn't. In fact, you know what? I didn't do a review on it because I didn't like it. It's gotten to the point where I don't really want to do negative reviews, sort of. And I know GMT wasn't losing sleep because I didn't do a review of it. But yeah, it just didn't click. I mean, Command and Colors Napoleonics I think works well. I think Ancients works very well. The Medieval, just something was lacking from it. I would hope that's not the case with this. But it does sound, because I think there's like 20 scenarios in this. And this is basically just a port of the other game. And instead of having miniatures, now you'll have the usual, blocks. So we'll see. We'll find out. I'm kind of curious. I would assume, maybe I shouldn't say that, it's the brand new year. I would assume that I would see this as far as a review copy, but I don't know. So Flaming Heron says, I figure if you don't review it, it's safe to say the game ain't that good, unless it's D&D Stranger Things. Yes, D&D Stranger Things, I wanted to warn people. That was sort of because I thought that was so bad. I thought that was so poorly produced and such a money grab. I just needed to, I just needed to warn people. All right. Anyway, moving right along. Let's talk about some role-playing game news, because now available from Nightfall Games, which this is like the second news piece in a couple of weeks. And I've never talked about, I don't think, Nightfall Games in the past. Anyway, now available is SLA Industries 2nd Edition. Here's the dope. SLA Industries 2nd Edition is a 224-page tabletop role-playing game that uses Nightfall Games' S5S rule system, recommended for 2 or more mature gamers. In the world of progress, the corporation SLA Industries rules all, employing operatives to enforce, extend, and maintain their power base. SLA controls a multitude of worlds, industrial, franchise, and resource, with Planet Mort at its core. Yes, it's Rick and Mort. 2 planets, right? Oh, maybe not. As operatives execute the company's will, I bet execute in more than one way, right? New threats emerge through the cracks of the city walls, turning downtown into a battlefield. The newly arrived Neofron signals a shift in the balance of the universe as the scholarly species joins the ranks of SLA Industries, sending their brightest to train as operatives to serve alongside Ebonites, Shakhtars, Wraithen, and humans. You, the SLA operative, are fighting for fame and fortune against a backdrop of crumbling reality. Operatives feed the always-on televisions with a gaudy media of wall-to-wall death and dismemberment. Operative life is all about climbing the corporate ladder and earning sponsorship deals and notoriety along the way. Dream entities claw at the fabric of reality, dredging up nightmares, while elsewhere the Cheyenne blood cult rises, corrupting the disenfranchised masses of Mort to its cause and unleashing the horrors from White Earth into an unsuspecting world. White Earth? Okay. So Kevin says, I think it's actually pronounced Slay Industries. All right. Well, we'll say that, right? That's okay with me. As Slay Industries battles to reclaim the cannibal sectors outside, operatives are forced to deal with problems within the city walls more so than ever before. And below, the deep construct awakens. Guns kill. So does the truth. The 224-page Slay Industries 2nd Edition is available in PDF over at DriveThruRPG for $23.23. Kind of an odd price, right? Kind of cool, though. I've heard of the game. I've heard, and you know what? Kevin's probably right. It's probably is Slay Industries. I don't know. Yeah, I ran across it. I thought, oh, that's kind of interesting. Plus, I was like, oh, wow. I had just talked about Nightfall Games last week and said, oh, yeah, they're known for this game. And then I'm like, oh, look, they've got a new edition that just came out. Gotta say, the artwork looks pretty cool. I gotta be honest, I don't know if that'd be my bag of tricks as far as the setting itself. Because, in my opinion, just my opinion, just me, I don't know. I'm just saying. I find it difficult to pull off the just really grim, sort of like 1984 kind of. Yeah, I have a hard time with that. I have a hard time where the player characters tend to be relatively either evil or just kind of nonchalant about evil. I don't know. It's just me. Like I said, it's just me. All right. So, a Grade A says this is from one of the founders of Cubicle 7. Yes, I believe a Grade A had mentioned that they were behind Nightfall. Fleming Heron says that they saw this on the bestsellers list on DriveThruRPG. And I remember, they remember I mentioned this, the company, but was at a loss what the game is. And that's kind of funny, too, because that's how I stumbled across it. I was like, oh, hey, look. I was like, and then I was just talking about this company. So Kevin says that they think that this is a bigger hit in Europe than in the US. That is very possible because I do know European role players do tend to enjoy a darker, like grim, dark, grittier sort of vibe. That's why, even though the funny thing is, I like Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, where basically you've got, the Empire's kind of falling apart and everybody's, on the take and stuff like that. But the player characters aren't necessarily bad guys. They can be, they can be a little murder hobo-ish if they want to. But see, now I don't have an issue with that. I don't have a problem with it. I have a problem with player characters or running a game where the player characters just want to be evil. I don't get a kick out of that, so I don't dig those kind of games. Not to say that that's what this is all about. I just kind of get the vibe where it's sort of like, yeah, just like Paranoia. Paranoia is another role-playing game. I love the concept of Paranoia. I remember having the original Paranoia when it came out from West End Games. The concept of it is just pretty funny and pretty cool. The actual, at least the way I look at it, it's one of those games that's much more appealing as a concept than it is playing it at the table. So, I don't know. All right, moving right along. Talking about Darkness. Now available in PDF, because I guess this was not available at DriveThruRPG before. I found this very unusual, but according to DriveThruRPG, this just was added, I think, on New Year's Eve. It's Cthulhu Dark from Graham Walmsley. I've got some specifics. Cthulhu Dark is a tabletop role-playing game of cosmic horror in the style of H.P. Lovecraft. It's about the things we fear, amplified until they're unbearable. It's about stories that genuinely creep you out, not well-worn tropes and creatures you've seen hundreds of times before. It's about bleak horror, in which humans are powerless when confronted by hyper-intelligent alien horrors. You can't beat them. You can't fight them. You can only watch, run, hide, and fear. If you love Cthulhu games already, then this is Lovecraftian horror at its most intense. If you're new to them, then Cthulhu Dark is a great place to start. You'll enter a world of stories that are both terrifying and terribly human. The rules are incredibly short, they're tightly focused on horror, and they drive the game. This 199-page PDF is available over at DriveThruRPG for $14. Cool. Like I said, I think it's very odd. Now, maybe I just stumbled across this and something's wrong over on the DriveThruRPG site, but supposedly this is brand new in PDF to them. I know Cthulhu Dark has been out for a while. In fact, I think, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought it's been out like 3 or 4 years. I've never taken a peek at it. I've not checked it out. One of the reasons is because I thought there was a bit of an affiliation between this and Lovecraft-esque, which I thought was awful. It is, in my opinion, probably the worst H.P. Lovecraft Cthulhu Mythos role-playing game out there. It is just garbage, and my review reflects that. That was another game that I felt that, you know what, I need to warn people about this, or at least warn gamers who are of kind of the same cut as I am as far as gaming. Don't waste your money on Lovecraft-esque. But I don't know. I have no idea. I know it's not the same people or anything like that, but I think there is some sort of connection there. But I don't know. Maybe somebody out there has played Cthulhu Dark or they've read Cthulhu Dark. Let me know, because if you follow the gaming gang at all, you know whenever I run across something Lovecraftian or something to do with the mythos, or as our friends across the pond like to say, mythos, I tend to share it. So it's like I hear Cthulhu and I come running. Melwinius from York has arrived in chat. Good to see you, Melwinius. Happy New Year. So that is it for the news tonight. Something I did want to mention I ran across earlier. Well, actually, I guess I should point out we were just talking about DriveThruRPG. And of course, the gaming gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to visit DriveThruRPG, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our ads. Right now, we are running a tower ad that runs down the side. Usually it's a banner ad. If you click on that and you happen to make a purchase over at DriveThruRPG, I get a little portion of that sale, and all those nickels and dimes and quarters really do add up, and they do certainly help keep the gaminggang.com around. So, and a lot of people out there do use those. So I really, really appreciate it. Really, really do. All right. Anyway, so a little pop culture item that I ran across is that I guess there's a rumor floating around that Jodie Whittaker is going to leave Doctor Who at the end of this series, which I guess they are in the midst of filming right now. So I don't know how. Aren't they going into another lockdown again? So that's going to stop. And I was kind of curious because now, once again, it's a rumor, but it sounds like it's pretty solid. Plus, I mean, since the reboot of Doctor Who, most of the actors have done 3-year runs outside of David Tennant, or 3 series runs, I should say, because we don't always get a new series of Doctor Who every year. As a matter of fact, I think by the time this 3rd series with Jodie Whittaker airs, she'll have been doing it 5 years. So I was kind of curious. Any thoughts about that at all? I'll share mine. So, and this kind of weird for me to share this, but and I was all for having a woman doctor. I was like, yeah, that's cool with me. And I'd seen Jodie Whittaker in Broadchurch, and she was really good in it. So I was like, oh, yeah, okay. Personally, she's fine. She's fine in this series. It's just these stories suck. The new showrunner they've got, I thought Stephen Moffat was bad. Oh, bring Stephen Moffat back. It's like he's these episodes are these stories are just crap. I stopped watching. I got think I got 7 episodes in the first series with Jodie Whittaker, and I bailed. And then I heard the last series was worse. So it's like, so Flaming Heron says, bailing from a sinking ship. That could be. I got to be honest, because now I had heard that she's leaving, but the showrunner isn't. If I were the BBC, and obviously enough, I am not, I would be kind of reevaluating the direction that show has gone in, because it used to draw in a lot of viewers. I do believe that their viewership is down. It's even down further than when Peter Capaldi was the Doctor. And when he took over, we saw a tumble in the numbers as far as the viewership too. So I don't know. So Flaming Heron says, look fondly on the Moffat era now. Ha ha. No, I don't look fondly on it. I just sit there and say, wow. I was one of these people, oh, it can't get any worse. Yeah. Yeah, it could. So Great A says, just can't hang with the reboot of Doctor Who. I miss the longer storylines and the slower pacing. I can understand that. I love the old Doctor Who's. I go through these periods where I'll like start rewatching, and it's usually at night when I'm working on stuff for the website, where I'll go and I'll watch a few years of old Doctor Who with like the Troughton, although unfortunately a lot of the Troughton episodes haven't survived, or the storylines aren't complete. But I was almost to the end of John Pertwee's run, and then I was like, I've been watching Doctor Who every night for like 2 months now. I'm taking a break. So Melwedia says, well, according to a lot of fans, it's less about the female Doctor, but more about woke politics injected into the series and destroying basically the whole 40 years of the universe. I can see that. Flaming Heron says, yeah, they've taken a dump on 50 years of history with their storylines. Yes. Craig Martin says, Happy New Year, gang. Same to you too, Craig. And that his oldest daughter loves Doctor Who, and he agrees the writing sucks. So, so Great A says, the filming of it kept reminding me of Farscape and Cleopatra 2525. Never watched Cleopatra 2525. I did watch Farscape up to a point, and I thought I was like, wow, this is great. This show's great. And it was still on when I started watching it. It wasn't like, oh, wow, this is some old show that people have said, hey, Jeff, haven't you ever watched this? And I think it was like 3 seasons in, and it took a turn, and it was like, it's like, and I stopped watching it. It was like recycling just the same stuff over and over again. So Kevin says the second Doctor was the one who lost the most episodes, wasn't he? Yes, Patrick Troughton's the second Doctor. I like Patrick Troughton quite a bit. Okay, so I've said this before whenever we talk about Doctor Who. Tom Baker's my doctor. When I first started watching Doctor Who on Channel 11 here in the Chicagoland area, WTTW, he was the Doctor. It was his run that they were in the midst of showing essentially in syndication. So he's my doctor, always has been. I like the older Doctors. But don't get me wrong, I like the reboot too. I thought Eccleston was really good. I think David Tennant, in my opinion, is my favorite of the new Doctors. Even Matt Smith wasn't so bad. It was another case of the showrunner just sucked. The stories just were kind of, and in my opinion, I don't think Moffat knew how to, write or oversee female characters because all we had was Amy Pond crying all the time. Every episode. It was like, again? Come on. So, yeah, kind of, Grade A says they can watch 1, 2, 3, and 4 all day long. Yeah, when I was younger, when Peter Davidson took over, and the funny thing is, of course, as an American, watching Doctor Who for the first time, we don't know anything about the regeneration or anything like that. It's like, what? So I'll never forget, I'm over at Elliot Miller's house, my best friend, and I think we're like freshmen in high school, maybe sophomores. I'm pretty sure we were freshmen, and we were watching Doctor Who because he watched it too. It was a Sunday night. I just happened to be staying overnight before school the next day, and it's Tom Baker's last episode. We were like, "What? Zoinks! What the hell?" I watched a little bit of Peter Davidson. It didn't click with me. But he seems like a really nice guy. I got to say, I mean, he seems like a pretty cool cat. So, so Kevin says, yeah, Tom Baker played most on PBS in the 80s. Yes, it did. So Mel Winnia says that they're more on the Torchwood train, was more their thing than Doctor Who. When Torchwood first started out, I completely agree. When Torchwood was not necessarily a monster of the week sort of show, but where they hit like short story arcs. Because one thing I like about like modern television is a lot of times you have an underlying. I need a sip here. You have an underlying arc to a show, and it might run the whole season. It might run a few episodes. And I've said this to like my parents. I'm like, yeah, it's like I can't really watch old, like, like Barnaby Jones or Mannix or, things like that. Because none of the episodes have anything to do with anything. It's like you watch an episode, boom, that's it, that's done. Doesn't matter. Mannix could have been shot and killed, and next week, Mannix is back. It's sort of like, okay. Although I have to admit, Rockford Files was a good show, but that was not, that was more James Garner than anything else. All right, so Grade A saying Colin Baker was awful, but he's another person who comes across as he's a pretty nice guy. I think Colin Baker got the shaft. Because if I remember correctly, I think Colin Baker was there when the BBC was really thinking about pulling the plug on Doctor Who. So they had slashed the budget, and I think there was like a writer's strike or something too at that point. So yeah, I think Colin Baker kind of got the short end of the stick. But jumping back to the second Doctor having the most episodes lost, and that is because the BBC was so cheap. What they would do is they would erase tape so they could reuse it again. And that's what happened to many of the Patrick Troughton episodes, is that they were erased and lost. Every once in a while, they'll have. In fact, I think all of the episodes, there are at least recordings of them, because, and I did this myself way back in the day when I was in grammar school and we were seeing reruns of the Beatles cartoons. I would take a cassette player and I would record it next to the TV speaker. Yeah, hey, that's what you got to do in those, those years way back when. But a lot of people did that. So they actually have, as far as I understand, I think they've got all of them, at least the audio from it. And you'll see there's like recreations that have been put together. It's kind of odd. I don't care for them. I have a hard time watching them. I would rather maybe track down the Target book and read that story that way. That was another thing that we were big on, like freshman and sophomore year, was the Target books, the Doctor Who novelizations. And the funny thing is, I remember I started reading them and it was like, who are these people? It's like, Jamie? Who the hell's Jamie? It's like, what? Joe Grant? And it's like, oh, the Doctor. And you're thinking, oh, it's Tom Baker. Right? Even though they'd have the image of that Doctor from that story almost always on the cover. It's like, huh? What do you want? You're 13 years old. You're a dummy. Yeah, so Great A says some of the episodes were actually sent to Canada and Australia. They weren't returned to the BBC. If I remember right, I thought they found a Patrick Troughton series like in South Africa. It's like, what? Like the complete 5 or 6 episodes. So, so there's some discussion about Jodie Whittaker's acting range being pretty narrow. So, the Night Stalker, there you go. That was a classic show. Yes. Kolchak, Carl Kolchak. And the series, which I think lasted, what, a year? No, actually, I think it got into a second season, and then I think they canceled it partway into the second season. That was in Chicago. In fact, one of the episodes, I can't remember what the main story is, but in the background, Kolchak's listening to the Chicago Cubs are in the World Series, and I want to say they're playing Boston. Yeah, so we know that was a fantasy in the 70s. So, all right, anyway, so that's what I wanted to kind of discuss. Just mention that there are some people really, really upset that Jodie Whittaker is going to leave, and there are other people who are like dancing. I wouldn't be in either camp, really. I would say, once again, most actors don't want to play Doctor Who for too long. They don't want to be the Doctor for too long because they don't want to get typecast. But if they're going to keep the same showrunner, I don't know. But then again, everybody complains about everything these days. Sort of like, you know what? If you don't like something, whatever. It's like, okay, get over it. You don't have to go jump online and be like, oh, all right. Anyway, so Craig Martin says, surely they can do better than Sans Daleks. So, yeah, I did not watch like I said, I haven't seen it since a little more than halfway through the first season with Jodie Whittaker. And like I said, I just thought the story sucked. It just really did. So I was like, even the first episode that introduces her, usually the introductory episode for the new Doctor tends to be pretty decent, especially in the reboot. No, not in that case. All right. Anyway, Special Air Service Daleks? Asked Melwinius. All right. Anyway, moving right along. So I pointed out that I have a new review up for the Magical Land of Yeld. I am not going to say anything about it. I definitely think you should check this out. If you've ever been interested in like a Chronicles of Narnia sort of role-playing game, give this a peek. And this also makes for a good setting book. It is rules light. There's not a lot of crunch in this. But this even makes a pretty interesting supplement just to use as a setting book. So definitely check it out. Take a peek. Anyway, I am looking at, as I keep bumping the mic, for 2021 or 2021, I can't decide which one of those I want to use more. I am going to release reviews on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. At least my reviews. Now, if Sammy's doing PDF reviews and that, I'll probably pop those up on the weekend. But I don't know. I got to remember if Sammy's even got some stuff to review right now. Anyway, so I'm trying to kind of nail things down where you know what days reviews are going to show up. Now, on the weekend, I might float out an extra review. That's a possibility. But from here on out, fingers crossed, it's going to be Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and I am going to try my best for the Wednesday reviews to be war game related, conflict sim related, action game related. I can't guarantee that's going to be the case because I have to point out my output on war game reviews was stumbling before we got hit with the pandemic, because it's gotten to the point where really Elliot's the only person I can really play any of the war games with. And even like the big, like heavier hex and counter games, he has really no interest in. And I got to be honest, I'm not super interested either, but we'll see what we can get. But I will say on Wednesday, you'll look forward to my review of Shores of Tripoli, which is from Fort Circle Games. So at least we know we got this coming on Wednesday. Following Wednesday after that, or I might roll it out on over the weekend, I don't know, is going to be from Osprey Games. So I finally had an opportunity to play their, oh gosh, now I can't remember the name of it. Undaunted Normandy. So look for that. Like I said, I might just leave that till next Wednesday as well. So Kevin R. Smith still talking about Doctor Who says, do we get to a point where well-known British actors don't want to work with this showrunner? That does happen here in the U.S. You'll get actors who are like, who's, oh no, no, I don't want to be part of that show. So Great Ace says, we got a lot of RPGs coming this year, many big titles. We shall see. We'll see what shows up. A lot of times I have no idea what's going to be popping my way. All right, so I had mentioned one last thing I'm going to tackle here before I wrap up. I did mention that I've got 2 contests for January. Two mints in one. So Melwinia says, my review's the reason they ordered Rime of the Frost Maiden, although I don't like the woke direction WotC's taking. And if you remember my review for Rime of the Frost Maiden, I had issues with that book, and I don't get into the whole woke, not woke, whatever. That's like water off my back. Unless it's something that's just so over the top, bashing you over the head, like Lovecraft-esque, if you've ever seen that. They mainly talk about how much they hate H.P. Lovecraft. And it's like, well, then why make a game based on his works? And then it's really goofy. And then they like completely contradict what they're saying. In 1 minute, they completely contradicted later on in an adventure. And it's like, okay, whatever. Anyway, so in fact, somebody just recently had commented that my review of Rime of the Frost Maiden was the most negative review they saw from anybody about that. I'm sorry, what do you want from me? I don't give a shit. It's like, I told you what I thought. I'm a reviewer. That's what I do. I'm not here to toe the company line. I'm not here to parrot what other people say about games. So, boy, I tell you, some of these comments I get, you'd be amazed at some of the stuff people comment that I just delete. I'm like, I'm not even bothering. I'm like, yeah, okay, that was up on that video for an hour. Not anymore. All right, anyway, back to the contests. So these are going to be YouTube-related contests, and they are subscriber number-related contests, which I have never done before. So we shall see as a ladybug flies over and lands on one of the lights here, because it's a little warmer today, although it's still like 30 some degrees outside. I don't know where these ladybugs come from down in the duct tape studios. I don't know. I feel bad for them because I know they're not going to survive very long. Anyway, so if I hit 4,000 subscribers, which isn't too far off, if I hit 4,000 subscribers by January 31st, I will be giving away a brand new copy of Next War Korea from GMT Games, and I will ship this anywhere in the world that I can ship things to. You know, not sending it over to the Taliban or anything like that, all right? So we've got that. So that is if I get 4,000 subscribers by January 31st. And to get in the running, you have to A, be a subscriber, B, comment on any video from here today, January 4th, through January 31st. As long as you comment on a video, you're a subscriber, you're in the running, but I need to get to 4,000 subscribers, which I think is, I don't know, 300 and change away. Don't know. We will see. But then, if you've been following the dispatch, I've talked about how I've been kind of going through a little bit of a nostalgia phase for various games from my youth, like when I was in high school, things like that. So you already know that I had been ordering the first edition Dungeons and Dragons books because I got the monster manual and ended up sending it back because it was all beat to hell. You may have seen that episode. I know a few of you in chat were there live when that happened. Anyway, if I can hit, I know this is a big if I can hit 5,000 subscribers on YouTube between now and January 31st, I will send out the 3 core Advanced Dungeons and Dragons books with the Jeff Easley artwork covers, and these will be in very good or better condition. All 3 titles, and I will once again ship these anywhere in the world, including Australia, Flaming Huron. And no, I will not be sending any games to Kim Jong-il. No. So Grade A's asking, old D&D modules? No, these are the core books. Or I'm not sure if Grade A's asking, will I give away some old D&D modules? And it's like, no, that's not the plan. I'm going to do the core books. So Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master's Guide, and Monster Manual. These will all be with the Jeff Easley artwork. So I think those are like 6th print and later for Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. So once again, I have to hit 5,000 subscribers by January 31st. Yes, I know people are going to be thinking, wow, that's a lot. Hey, you know, what can I tell you? If if you like, if you like the show, you should be telling people about it. Or, you're on social media, tweet it out or share it on Facebook or Instagram or I don't know. There's all these other social media places I'm not on. TikTok it, baby. So we'll see. So Fleming Aaron says, I'm only one man. I wish I could have the power to get your 5,000 subs. Hey, I'm just letting you know. Other people do this stuff all the time, and they give away crappy stuff that I am. Right? So a Great A says that's only 1.2K in 3 weeks. Actually, it's almost 4 weeks. Because this is Monday. This is the 4th. We're talking all the way. I would announce the winner on February 1st for both of these. For Next War Korea, which is brand new in Shrink. So Great A says, oh, I thought you were going to be doing reviews of old D&D modules. I got to be honest. I've had a lot of review stuff show up. So I was only kind of bouncing that around because there was like a, I hit a point where there was a lull. So I was like, well, I got to keep something going. But actually, I've got quite a lot of stuff in the pipeline for reviews. So that is on hold. That's probably not going to happen. It may not happen at all. All depends on how things go. All right. Anyway, that is it for tonight's show. Once again, don't forget those 2 contests. I'll mention them during episodes of the Dispatch. And if you follow on Twitter, I will be tweeting these out tonight as well, so people know. Anyway, if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And if you subscribe, ding that bell. It'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live, Monday through Thursday nights, it'll also tell you when I upload other videos as well, such as Wednesday's review of The Shores of Tripoli from Fort Circle Games. And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Everybody who watched live and hung out in chat, thank you very much. Always appreciate folks keeping me company so that I don't feel like a complete doofus just talking into a camera like I do during my reviews and that. Yes, I do kind of feel like a doofus when I do that. But I do know there are a lot of folks out there who don't have an opportunity to watch live. Maybe you're watching after the fact on Memorex. Regardless, I certainly appreciate all of you as well. I swear, I can't put into words how much I appreciate folks who take some time out to watch any of the videos that I put out here on YouTube. I don't know if I'd be watching this guy. Be like, that mug? Ooh, gosh. Everybody have a great new year. It is, this is the first episode of 2021. So let's keep our fingers crossed. Hopefully we've got a much better year ahead of us than the train wreck that we just left behind. All right. Everybody enjoy the rest of your Monday or Tuesday or whatever day it happens to be when you're watching this. I'll be back tomorrow. And of course, as I've been wrapping up all my videos during this never-ending pandemic, I certainly hope all of you out there are being smart and staying safe. Oh, you're still here. Well, if that's the case, if you'd like to subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel, by all means, click right here. And if you'd like to check out